Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining me again here on Stucky Media. And I wanted to take a few days ago, I put out a blog called The State of Cosplay Photography, and I got back a few interesting comments. So I wanted to take a minute to share some of them with you. The first one says, "You got that way of part life right. If you're deciding between paying your light bill and buying that last piece of very important cosplay or something for your camera rig, you need to take a big blank step back." Well, while I don't particularly care for the kind of language that's used in this particular comment, there is a lot of judgment in the cosplay community in general, where people question what people are using their money for. Now, I may not, or those of you who are listening to this may not make the same, we don't always make the same financial decisions that others make, but that's up to them. If people choose to prioritize one thing over another, that's their business. Most people that I've spoken to generally know how to manage their pocketbooks very well, and they know how to make good decisions when it comes to keeping up with their financial priorities. But again, that's not for any of us to judge others on. The next comment says cosplay photography equals blurring the lines between fashion and portrait with a bit of event tossed in for good measure. Get good at all three of these and you've got 90% of your bases covered. This is very true. If you are able to master or learn portrait and event and fashion, you have most of cosplay photography covered. There's just other things like being able to replicate the character in your image, or being able to shoot the large props or any props, and being able to research the character that you're shooting. So those are other things that are needed on top of that, and those are some of the areas. And then you have to take all that and combine it, which is another issue that people need, that photographers need, is important for photographers to learn. So there are a lot of different areas that needs to be talked about, and there's just not enough educational material out there to help cosplay photographers learn those things. Another comment says, really, there are plenty of sources for new photographers interested in lighting, learning about lighting, and such. Everything you've learned from classical portrait lighting applies to cosplay photography. The difference really comes down to style and how you apply it. When I think about lighting an image, I often view it as I view film or fashion. At some point, it's a photographer's responsibility to venture out and to do some studying on their own, and then to practice. Again, I agree, it is a photographer's responsibility, and they are right that there are plenty of sources to learn classic portrait lighting. The problem is as I mentioned before, is being able to combine all of those things and all of the other many subjects that need to be covered. And that's where there's not a lot of educational resources for photographers. So, some people may not like that I think that, but it's just fact. There are not a lot of blogs that talk about or people at conventions talking about researching how you research a character that you're planning on shooting, or taking those portrait lighting skills that you've learned from other sources, and using it to create a captivating image that best reflects the character that you're shooting. So those are I think those are some fair critiques of cosplay photography in general. And so, I think that's important. So the final comment that I'm going to talk about today says, well, I've been focusing on cosplay in my work for a few years, and yes, I must agree, it's not sustainable as a standalone business. Unless you have a disposable income and can travel nationally or internationally. The reason is, of course, many people just don't have the money to pay. And because of digital, people value of the art a lot less than ever now than ever before. So there's two points I want to make about this comment. One, well, there's actually three, but one, I never mentioned anything about making cosplay photography a standalone business in your making cosplay photography a standalone business. Second point is that most people who shoot cosplay is simply part, that cosplay work is simply part of a number of things that they do. Such as myself, I shoot events, I shoot portraits, and I shoot cosplay. There are some people who shoot portraits, weddings, cosplay, architecture. There's a variety of different things that people shoot. Cosplay is simply part of it. So I think that's the important thing I don't want people to miss. Cosplay should be part of is part of most people's overall photography business or whatever, or small business or whatever, what have you. The second point I want to make is that I don't think it's a real issue with people valuing. I think they judge the quality of work. That's one thing that I've learned. I thought people didn't value my work. It was the quality of work. When I start to produce better results, I started to get more clients for everything that I do, for events, for portraits, for cosplay. And I think that's the thing I don't want that I would not like photographers to miss, is that you have to have good quality work if you want people to value your work. That's the most important place that you need to start on. And I think many professional photographers will say that you need to have good quality work, and people can judge good quality work. So that's something that you have to do. So it's either shooting better, working better in Lightroom and Photoshop, or whatever that means. Having good quality work is how you get people to value your art. So I'll leave it at that. I want to thank you guys for joining me, and I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.